Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Matters. There's a lot of anticipation about this one. We're so lucky to have a very distinguished scientist and also Renaissance man with a wide range of interests. This is very timely. I think we all are aware of Dr. Fauci's experience this week in front of the Senate, where politics and science were clashing. The human race might have improved a little bit in a few centuries. He did better than Giordano Bruno in 1600 in Rome, who got burned at the stake for suggesting that the Earth was not the center of the universe. So I am going to sit quietly and let Alex enlighten us. Go ahead, Alex.
Good morning, and thank you. Today, after 3 pleasant trips to national parks, today let's get serious. And I will discuss science and current politics. This presentation is not by an outsider, but an American scientist and a citizen who is deeply concerned about the current situation in his adopted country. Politics plays a pivotal role in shaping science and education, primarily through establishment of priorities for funding. Lawmakers determine national research budgets, which can either advance innovation, as we have witnessed for decades, or lead to the distortion of data and censorship, and to align with partisan agendas, as we observe now. And so I remain my talk, Science and Trumps Politics. This is a famous painting called The Scream by Edward Norwegian artist. And this expresses everything. Science is the foundation of human progress. Science is essential because it equips us with the critical thinking skills needed to solve real-world problems and make informed decisions. Biological sciences explore the essence of life and provide foundation for medical research. In turn, medical research helps to eradicate dangerous diseases, to develop critical vaccines, and to significantly increase our lifetime expectancy. Science is driving technological progress, from the smartphone in your pocket to renewable energy sources. Science and engineering form a backbone of modern technology, allowing society to operate more efficiently. Intervention of politics into science occurs when a government uses legal and economic pressure to influence research results, the way it's interpreted or reported. The relationship between science and politics becomes strained when scientific data is suppressed or distorted for political gain. This tension often stems from fundamental difference in culture of these two entities. Science relies on slow, methodical, empirical testing, embracing doubts and revision as new evidence emerges. Politics operate on rapid timeline. Public perception, negotiation, and the need to deliver immediate decisions to the electorate. When science is framed through a political lens, the public begins to view research data as a partisan opinion rather than its established fact. And this is what is going on now. And I want to bring this story as a cautionary tale of how politics can negatively affect science, leading to catastrophic consequences. This is a story about Trofim Lysenko and the Soviet biology. Lysenko elevated his anti-genetic theory. Lysenko was a Soviet agronomist. He rejected genetics in favor of his own pseudoscientific ideas. He became Stalin's favorite biologist because of his promises to improve Soviet agriculture. Lysenko elevated his anti-genetics theories to state-sanctioned doctrine. He used his political influence to suppress dissenting opinion, discredit, and even imprison his critics. One of them was Nikolai Vavilov. He is one of our distinguished scientists of the 20th century, and he was a leading opponent of Lysenko. Vavilov was arrested and starved to death in prison. I am not suggesting where at this point. For the decades during which Lysenko ruled Soviet biology, his methods of administrative and political pressure on science and agricultural practice failed to increase the yields of cultivated plants. It is impossible to determine an exact death toll, as Lysenko's pseudoscientific reform prolonged and intensified massive politically driven famines. Historians estimate that millions of deaths in the Soviet Union and tens of millions in China were directly tied to these policies. This was a harsh lesson of mixing politics and science. What we can conclude from here, the destruction of science follows a step-by-step political playbook, eradication of institutional autonomy, and undermining self-reliance of research organizations, replacing independent experts with politically favorable opportunists who influence institutional research directions and, of course, slash of funding. In totalitarian societies, scientific dissent from politically approved doctrines was punishable by firing from a job or often prison detention. In the Soviet Union, commonly established scientists who opposed Lysenko's teaching were dumped to psychiatric hospitals or sent to labor camps. Well, back to the US. Trump got science funny and dramatic. The Trump administration is real danger to American science. It has fundamentally disrupted the U.S. research enterprise through massive funding freezes and executive branch purchases. These policies have shrunk the American research footprint and delayed medical breakthroughs. Such detrimental politically motivated changes have occurred with astonishing speed. We have only a year and a half in Trump administration, and it's just a disaster. Let's see what's going on. Slash and burn. This is a graph, the United States, not proposed, that now cuts for 2026 budget as percentage of 2024 budget. National Science Foundation, the basic main organization supporting basic science, more than 50% cut. National Institutes of Health, it's close to 40%. NASA and National oceanic atmospheric administration, also severe cuts. Let's look at what institutes losing the most at NIH. National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities. I don't know these numbers, but it's a dramatic cut. And this is obviously political. Another one is National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Well, we have a problem on our hands. The administration has frozen or terminated billions of dollars in research grants. The National Institute of Health supported 2,700 fewer scientific projects, and the number of competitive grants awarded by the NIH dropped by more than half. In an unprecedented move, Trump officials began terminating already funded grants. It's totally illegal by NIH and NSF, two of the largest public supporters of scientific research in the US. A total of close to 6,000 NIH grants and close to 2,000 NSF grants were suspended. Let's look what has been done. Biomedical funding shifts have resulted in the major drops in project funding for areas such as women's health. It's unbelievable. Research into politically contentious topics like environmental justice, LGBTQ health, and climate change also saw severe reductions. The administration officially banned grants related to diversity, equity, inclusion, and gender. The White House proposed sweeping rules that will give political appointees a much larger role in awarding research grants. Critics warn it is strangled independent research. An analysis by Science Magazine and Workforce Reports indicated that federal science agencies such as CDC and agriculture suffered net decrease in thousands of professionals with PhD and MD degrees. Overall, the federal government's research workforce dropped by 95,000 employees just in 2025. We need to save our science and scientists. One of the most outrageous examples of political manipulations was the appointment of Robert Kennedy Jr. as the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. Since 2005, Kennedy Jr. has promoted vaccine misinformation and public health and conspiracy theories, including the chemtrail conspiracy theory, HIV/AIDS denial, and the scientifically disproved claim of a link between vaccines and autism. Robert Kennedy Jr. has not acknowledged that the 1998 paper from Andrew Raikhel suggesting a link between the measles vaccination and autism was retracted in 2010, that Dr. Raikhel was found guilty of scientific misconduct and that he lost his license to practice medicine. This was not disclosed to public, so public believed propaganda. Over 17,000 prominent US doctors signed an open letter urging the Senate to oppose Kennedy's nomination. They argued that he had spent decades undermining public confidence in vaccines. He was a danger to national health care, and he was actually unqualified to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. He has no medical education. More than 75 Nobel laureates argued the U.S. Senate to urged oppose the Kennedy nomination, saying he would put the public health in danger. Well, Kennedy's nomination has passed by a single Republican vote. Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, who was a physician himself, cast the deciding vote. However, later he voiced his regrets. Well, it's too late. It is astonishing how Republican politicians mistrust the opinion of scientists. A recent survey shows a widening partisan gap in confidence towards scientific and medical experts. This is data for measles. The U.S. has hit a 35-year high in measles cases, according to figures from CDC. It's more than 2,300 cases now, and it's growing. And in 2000, the virus was declared eliminated, not anymore. The Kennedy and the Trump administration are playing, I would say, criminal game with the health of our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Well, a little bit about history and lessons to Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. and others. The smallpox vaccine is the first vaccine to have been developed against this devastating contagious disease. In 1796, British physician Edward Jenner demonstrated that an infection with a mild cowpox virus created immunity against the deadly smallpox virus. Well, not everybody was happy. It was a British anti-vaccine society. Similar to us. And this is the poster, the cowpox, or the wonderful effect of the new inoculation. You can see there is no autism, but little cows growing out of their bodies. Well, from 1958 to 1977, the World Health Organization conducted a global vaccination campaign that eradicated smallpox, making it the only human disease to be erased from the earth. So we hope. Millions of human lives were saved. We all were, I think, vaccinated. The polio vaccine. The polio vaccine history is defined by two mid-20th century medical breakthroughs. Dr. Jonas Salk's inactivated injectable vaccine in 1955 and Dr. Albert Sabin's oral vaccine in 1961. These vaccines transformed polio from a paralyzing worldwide epidemic into an almost entirely eradicated disease. Finally, about COVID. Messenger mRNA COVID-19 vaccines, we're all familiar, Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. They use synthetic mRNA containing information about harmless spike protein that is unique to the COVID virus. This mRNA instructs cell to activate the immune system and build defense against diseases. This is a cartoon where you can see the brown ball, it's a COVID virus, and light brown is the spikes. And they used to penetrate the cell membrane, but they are not harmful on its own. And the blue ribbon is a messenger RNA that carries information about this light spikes. And when they inject it, as I said, we get immunity. In 2023, Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine was awarded to American Drew Weissman and Hungarian-born Katalin Karikor for their groundbreaking research on messenger RNA that enabled the unprecedented rapid development of the messenger RNA vaccines and stopped the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, that's not all. Trump targets universities. The Trump administration is accelerating attacks on universities and higher education. It criticized many principles underlying higher education: freedom to teach, to learn, to conduct independent research, and to speak out on issues of the day, and to assemble in the organizations of our choice. The core goal of the Trump administration policies towards universities and higher education is to aggressively restructure the educational landscape by eliminating academic freedom and centralizing control over finances and grant funding. Billions of dollars in federal research grants and contracts have been withheld from universities in an attempt to control their independence and activities. Well-known cases, Trump versus Harvard. It is a complex issue, but Trump was seeking $1 billion in damages from Harvard. The researchers had nothing to do with this, and they were really punished. And I know one of my colleagues lost 8 grants. Devastation in his lab, and many others. Well, Harvard won court battle against Trump. After targeting Harvard, Trump slams Columbia University. Well, in other aspects, student loan reforms, new rules capped borrowing limits for undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. This section has severely limited students' ability to continue their education. And of course, it hits hard families of low and middle income. And this is totally undemocratic. Well, we need to protest, and we do. Under the notion of American interest protection, the Trump administration has tightened international student policies and increased scrutiny on foreign funding disclosure. Broad prohibitions have been placed on international scientific collaborations. The U.S. has been a magnet for scientists around the world, benefiting greatly from international collaboration and the influx of talented researchers. The Trump administration's protectionist policy is short-sighted and will harm American science. American scientists have received over 425 Nobel Prizes. The US affiliated scholars account for more than half of all academic Nobel Prizes awarded globally. 40% of American Nobel laureates are immigrants who conducted their prize-winning research in US institutions. Can we sustain this leadership in the future? Well, that's a big question. Another example, the US National Academy of Sciences, that stands as our most distinguished scientific society in the world. American scientists who have delivered pioneering breakthroughs within their disciplines are nominated and confirmed through confidential ballots cast by fellow Academy members. An estimated 25% of members are foreign-born. And this means that out of 2,700 members, 675 are individuals who were born outside of the United States and are naturalized U.S. citizens. You have to be U.S. citizen to be in the academy. But this includes the present speaker. With Trump's aggressive anti-immigrant policies, talents will go somewhere else. Is China the future global leader in science and technology? China is not only watching the dismantling of American science and education, it is aggressively pursuing building its own national research and educational institutions. China's overall research and development expenditure recently reached $1 trillion, officially surpassing the United States in purchasing power. Now, this is a chart. You can see the yellow is China, blue is US, and you can see exponential rise in expenditure by China. Financial backing has created a massive system facilitating construction of state-of-the-art laboratories and supporting a workforce that exceeds 5 million researchers.
Is that in China?
Yeah. And this is one of the examples of super hypergravity and interdisciplinary experimental facility in Hangzhou, and it's one of the many supported by Chinese government. Young Chinese scientists who received education and training abroad are returning home, being lured by better research funding and future career prospects. In the past few years, China has already pulled ahead of the United States in various measures of research performance. In the 145 natural science and health science journals tracked by Nature Index, which is the most important scientific index, China's contribution is predicted to double that of the United States by the end of 2026. As an editor of several scientific journals, including the prestigious Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, I have witnessed myself a tremendous increase in quantity, but most importantly, the quality of submitted manuscripts by Chinese scientists. And this is a graph again, influential science, where you can see China is going ahead of Europe and the United States. How However, only a single Chinese scientist has won a Nobel Prize for scientific research conducted within the country. So we're still leading, and I don't know what Trump is thinking. Dr. Tu, you got isolated, got a Nobel Prize for isolation of artemisinin, an anti-malarial drug that significantly reduced mortality rates from malaria. But as China pulls ahead, it could create a shift in the center of gravity for global research drawing in talent. Young people who wish to pursue careers in science will move from the US and other countries to China, learn the language and figure out how to function there. It's again Nature magazine. Well, there's example, the Nobel Prize winning chemist Omar Yagi left the United States for China in July 2026, just recently. He probably was really disappointed. He departed from his position, faculty position at the University of California, Berkeley, to head a new AI and Material Institute in Tsinghua University in Beijing. His move to China shed light on the fast emerging dynamics between the two nations. And China is willing to invest very large sums of money to attract new talent. Well, here's a billboard on the wide highway next to Berkeley, University of California. European residency for exceptional talent. Similar ads are on the way to Stanford University and other universities of learning. In May 2025, the EU granted 500 million euros in funding the Choose Europe initiative intended to help draw international researchers. In April, the president of German most important Max Planck Society announced a Max Planck transatlantic program, stating it will include roles for researchers who are looking to leave the US. And the French government also revealed 100 million euros to attract international scientists. And as examples here, and the United States profited from the migration flow of highly qualified personnel decades after the Second World War. And now it is maybe the first time that Europe can profit from the talents that are educated in the United States. And notable brain drain wave starting in 2025-2026 is due to US federal research, severe US federal research funding cuts and political frictions. Again example, in this case, I'm moving to Europe. The Nobel Prize winning economists, husband and wife, left full-time positions in MIT to move to Europe and take up professorships at the University of Zurich in July 2026, the same as the previous one. So it's already pattern. People realize the situation is very serious. European countries attract American talents by combining streamlined immigration pathways with the immense appeal of a superior work-life balance, universal health care, and robust labor protections. Many regions offer generous social benefits, vibrant cultural experiences, and targeted funding for academia, actively drawing professionals seeking an alternative to US lifestyle. We live in the world's most scientifically and technologically advanced country so far. Yet a shocking large section of the American population questions the importance of science. Our country is doing a poor job in explaining scientific achievements and their benefits to the public. Some people view science as a waste of money, seemingly unaware that many of them are alive because of the accomplishments of biomedical and technological sciences. Talent and funding are the two pillars of the great scientific enterprise, and the Trump administration is chopping at the root of both. Well, the current administration is playing a dangerous game with science. I want to finish with a hope that our great country will recover from all ills and continue to be a beacon for the entire world. Thank you.
Alex, do you have any figures on how the University of Washington has been affected by the funding cuts?
No, but I know that every university was severely affected because, for example, if a researcher gets $100,000 grant, the university would get a 50% in the past of money awarded to this university in addition. Now it's only 15%. That's a severe cut. So it restricts the ability of universities to teach and support research.
Is that the overhead cost that they
It's
chopped
called
off?
overhead.
Yeah.
Indirect. Oh, indirect cost.
Thanks very much, Alex, for pointing all this out. I have questions.
Yeah.
Why is the science budget for the nation being cut? Where is all that money going? What is happening to all the fired scientists? What are they doing? Are they out of work? It seems to me that we have a national philosophical problem. And anybody who's read 1984 can see the writing on the wall. We have ICE, or the American Gestapo, being built, created, that will probably gather around our voting booths when the time comes. We have a number of non-partisan, supposedly non-partisan systems which are currently under attack. The civil service, the police, the military, the post office, the voting system, and the takeover of our communication systems on TV. So this is a political, philosophical attempt to change the nature of the United States of America into a fascist, the largest fascist state in the world. And all of you here are going to be part of it. Now China has, you talk about China, it's trained most of its own scientists, and it's pretty good at that. And a few will be going over there with big rewards. I came here with my wife Carolyn because we were part of a brain drain coming from England to America. And we thought it was going to be paradise, and in fact it was paradise to some degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's hell, in a way.
Yeah.
It's hell with comfort for the time being. So the big question is, why is all this happening to us? And I think it's a sort of, I'd appreciate comments from other people. Women are now being hated by the government. There's a hatred of education, a hatred of individuality. There's excessive greed. There's racism. How can we change all that? And to my mind, sending letters to people, it's just, it's not doing too much. I think we need a revolutionary approach.
This is not a question.
Something that's...
I will be in charge of it.
Pass out the torches and pitchforks.
I don't have the power. Some people have to have the power. And particularly, we're in trouble because we have the AI people who are hand in hand with the government and not with the population.
Would you pass out the other questions? Thanks.
I mean, being from the Soviet Union, it is amazing how similar propaganda works. It's grabbing attention of people, brainwash of them, and Trump administration and Trump, whoever was in charge during first administration, were very smart in the sense of taking over communication channels and, of course, controlling Supreme Court. And this was detrimental. Yeah.
So I want to follow up Peter's comment.
Mhm.
First of all, a large number of Chinese scientists were in fact trained in this country.
Yeah.
Secondly, in an earlier life, as many of you know, I was a professor of epidemiology and international health. In training students, one of the first things that I used and tried to point out was the anti-science or the junk science idea fostered by Kennedy and others. Don't let data spoil the good hypothesis.
Okay, Wolfgang, you're next. And then I'll come back to you.
We're all aware of what Trump has been doing to the country. My question is, why?
He's insane.
I don't think he is insane. I think it's a well-engineered kind of a revolution to dismantle our society.
Yeah. Okay.
Alex, thank you for an excellent talk, and I hope you will give the same presentation to other groups. I think we are privileged to have you here and have that very concise, factual, visionary presentation, and I hope you will be able to speak university or other groups around or publish it otherwise. You may know that I'm on for the program for next Saturday, and I'm a little bit, how should I say, worried, because to follow such excellent speakers as Alex and Anne, I don't know if I can compete with that. But it is in a way a follow-up to what we've heard today, because I'm going to speak about my life in East Germany and why I left there. And I don't want to say very much now, but considering elections, for example, in East Germany there were elections in, I think it was 1946 or so, and actually the Social Democrats won, and by trickery the Communist Party combined with the Social Democrats and made it sound like they had won. So we may be up for some trickery here ourselves. So thank you very much again.
Can you pass this, please? Thanks.
I want to support what Karen has offered to us as a letter to sign. And I just want to say that if anyone in the room believes that it's unnecessary for us to speak up, because in our case, all of our representatives are on our side. In fact, they have told us repeatedly that while it may be true that we're all in the same boat, they use our written support over and over again as evidence that they aren't just making things up for their own reasons. So even though you believe that Jayapal, Miller, Murray and Cantrell are shoe-ins for this kind of voting, please lend your signature to the letter.
Jackie, that's a very good point. Pramila said that herself when she was here now.
I'm puzzled about how brilliant entrepreneurs like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk can be behind this. And don't they understand that their fortunes and their businesses and their interests are being destroyed just like all of the rest of science?
It's certainly true that Trump's name is at the top of every list of what you have said, but it's not just Emperor Trump. It is a whole crew of people like Stephen Miller and other far right wingers, the creators of Project 2025, I think it's called, who are really pushing Trump. He's the figurehead. I don't think he has the competence or the background, the intelligence, the historical perspective to do what is happening. He's the popular figurehead that the rest of his this group, you might call them a right-wing deep state that are pushing all of this.
I just want to say something about the question of why. Why is Trump doing this? And I think if we look at all the dictators of the world, most of them were ruling what we used to call third world countries, and we used to attribute the rise of the dictators and the sort of passivity of the population to the fact that they weren't well educated or something like that. But I think if you look at what they did, they all grabbed the power of communication, the systems of communication in each of those countries, most of which was the radio until recently. Now he's grabbing the, more technological aspects of our society and controlling that. And then the why is he's ruining this country, but why? And the why must be because it's in his own self-interest. It's the greed and the power that he can amass and spread to his family and all the hangers-on that Ron just talked about, who are all benefiting financially from what they're doing to us. And they don't care that the country will be ruined after them because they'll have the power, they'll have whatever they want to do in their lifetimes.
Yeah. And then Dawn, can you reach?
Well, we have this great mystery of how can the administration be doing something that is so damaging to the nation. And a partial explanation, I think, is that politics is cultural. You grow up in a Republican family, that's what you're going to be. You don't think much beyond that. I grew up in such a family, and I was in grad school before I began to realize, well, you can think your way to your political position. And another issue already mentioned is the tremendous maldistribution of power, economic power. A very small subset of people now have way more power in economic terms, dictating employment, all that, than ever before.
Why hasn't Trump squashed it? Yeah. Okay, I saw another hand.
Rita wanted.
Okay, yeah, Rita, okay.
And for those of you who, like me, are saying, well, what can I do about that? If you are able, you can still go out on the corner, all four corners, with signs. We do attract attention, and I think it contributes to people talking at the dinner table about what's going on in the world. So make ourselves visible. You know, we think we're not, but I think we are very visible when we get out on that corner.
I want to ask Alex what your proposal is to solve the problem.
That's a tough one.
It could be that we have to sink even lower until people come onto the streets as a whole. People have to suffer more
Well,
until it becomes so painful that you have to come out.
the problem is relatively low education of American people. I mean, the elite and educated elite, yes, but a lot of people are totally uneducated in political sense and, let's say, what do they know? What is advance of science and what science gives them? Do they hear on radio about scientific advances or scientists? They hear, even public radio, you hear, oh, today is the birthday of such and such actress, she's 32. So,
Yeah, social media.
exactly.
Yeah, so just a comment about social media. Unfortunately, I have to admit, I was visiting my sister's family. She gets her news from podcasts. So she's very, very, very impacted by these opinions of people who basically are stirring up the world with the hope of becoming the next Rush Limbaugh and making $25 million a year. But there is no ethical accountability, holding them accountable. They don't have a code of ethics for podcasters like they do journalists. I mean, it's really a huge problem.
Yeah, it's maybe a little too democratic, right? our internet. Did I see another hand? I guess that's it. Well, thank you all, and especially thank you, Alex.